So I just want to show you how circles of control works as a task. Now, it's a really powerful tool. It's helpful, definitely, as one of your tools in resilience. And what it does is, well, to me, it really helps us in that phase of adapting, and it can reduce stress by identifying the great place to put your attention on the processes that you can control and the things you can do. So firstly, you draw yourself 3 circles. The centre one there can be overlapping, and really what these circles represent, and I've got my red one here for things I can't control. So an example at the moment in COVID, I might put down schools closed. So that's not up to me. That's happened to us. That's quite a stressful thing. Change is always is a big stressor. So and if I kind of focus on that, it just causes a lot of worry. There's nothing that I can do to address that situation apart from stay in, stay safe, and not spread COVID. So we reduce the time frame a little bit on that, hopefully. There's also, in terms of time frame, there's a lot of unknowns. So I've found that one of the most stressful thing. How long is this going to go on? Because it makes it hard to plan. So I've put time frame on there. I really unknowns. I really don't know the answer to some things. And then along with that, it is a little bit about decisions. So not only do I not know the answer, I don't know. I'm not making that decision, and that's something I find really difficult. So I'm not in charge. We've got great leadership, but it's difficult when it's out of our hands. So I've put literally the fact that it's out of my control is quite a difficult thing. So we've all got things in there. There's also there's a lot of change happening that happens to us really fast. One of the things that's changing possibly is our emotions. So I know that I'm kind of we're cycling from this huge sense of overwhelm to sometimes possibly it's some actually really nice moments of calm. I know I've been on the beach more, enjoying spending time with my cat. You might be loving the family dog, or even the time with the family, and maybe you've played some games around the dinner table, and there are some moments that have been really joyous and within the lockdown, and but actually the transition, the emotional transition going from high to low and high to low has been quite difficult, and I can't control those emotions. They arise. One thing I can control, and a little bit ties in there, is my mindset. So I put that over here in blue heads, as opposed to red, which is really heated and stressed and overwhelmed, and focusing on those things that aren't up to me. Is the blue head, where we feel a little bit more calm and clear, and we're actually choosing to put our attention. And when I look at mindset, one of the things I can do is just accept that this is really difficult and not beat myself up. So I'm not looking to judge whether or not I'm overwhelmed or happy, or indeed how others are. And so that's something I can definitely have a look at. Do I have a victim mindset and looking at, well, this happened to me, and it's a big excuse for everything? Or do I actually go, well, there are things that I can do and take control of making, adapting really is this phase. So how do I adapt? So looking at actually, one of the things I can control is my time. So we've all, to within the constraints of level 4, level 3, we've given you a timetable plan in your Whānau workspace, and I suggest that you have a look at that. Even if you haven't already, you might want to look at that as an amazing tool for taking back control. One of the things you can do is that in any way you can attempt work, you can plan that in. So there will be ways you can adapt to work a little bit differently and to just do what you can. If something's being asked of you on screen, maybe you're going to need to write it down on paper, or maybe you're going to have to email a question instead of ask it. But there are ways you can work from home. I know I've got a laptop here. I've built a website, I've upgraded my YouTube channel, making some demo videos. So I'm going to put in, there's ways that I can work, and if I have a look at that, I start to see, you know, rather than looking at schools closed, that's really, really overwhelming. I go, well, really there are ways that I can work, and what are those ways, and things that we have control over here will drive the processes you can put your attention on to help you come through this, and that's a huge skill of resilience, is adaptation, and this can help you identify, well, where do I give my energy, you know, give my energy to looking at new ways to work. I can timetable and structure, you know, some time in there, and one of the things you can do is tie that back in with the resilience step of kind of being really grounded in health and horror. So I might use that timetable to factor in some physical activity and some blocks of work, and building routine is, even if it's a new routine, and even if that lasts 2 weeks and changes again, structuring in a bit of a routine so you have some expectations, it can be a really helpful thing to you know, control your attention. I've got this middle circle here, and this is a really exciting space to work in. So I know one of the things I was going to write down in here was difference. So the thing that I find really stressful is that while we're all in the same storm, we're all going through COVID globally, actually, and not just us here in New Zealand or us at Hill Morton. We're all going through a global pandemic. We're all going through it really differently. So countries are different to each other, and people within countries, you know, within one country are different to each other, and people within one family or one school are different. Example of that for me, my partner's out of work. He's likely to not be able to return to his business. So he's in a position where he's nothing to do any longer with his time, and financial stress, and I'm in a really opposite position. So I feel like I've a lot of work, a lot of things that I could have spent my entire time working, and I've not lost my living wage, which I feel really grateful about. But there's such a difference there, and I nearly wrote that down, something that I can't control, because we've all been through this really differently. But I can actually respond to that. And the main issue that I have with that difference is that it causes separation. So what I would put in here is separation. Now, why do I think I can influence that? Well, if I ask myself, what can I do about this, you know, rather than having my attention on the fact that that's really stressful, well, what can I do to bridge that gap? And one thing I was thinking of when we got back to school was that, you know, my whānau group, we might make a big photo board of lockdown diaries, so everyone can share their experience. And rather than looking at, you know, well, no one understands what it was like for me. You have a family in the UK that are really suffering, and most people here don't have that. And, you know, you might be feeling like your position was really different, but if we build that global picture together, you know, we can try to reduce that separation, and we can really have a chance to share our stories, and it can become one big story, although it is made up of a lot of really different experiences. A part of the experience was that we were separated by the way that it was for each of us, but we can address that separation by sharing. So have a go. There's things that you think you might be able to do something about whilst you can't take away, and there's certainly good spaces that you can put your mind on, the processes that you need to go through. Anytime you identify with, you know, what are you thinking on when you're feeling really, really overwhelmed, and then what have you actually decided you can do to address that, and then you focus on the processes that you can control, and they might, you know, oftentimes be adaptation. So good luck.